Now, onto the mighty Dolphins. Not sure where they're located, but they are called the Dolphins. They are called the Dolphins. Is it the Brizzy Dolphins? Is it the Queensland Dolphins? Anyway, on to the Dolphins. Squad-wise, they are absolutely missing a superstar. There's no denying that. We speak about it every single week. Ad nauseum, you guys know how we feel about that. They've missed a superstar. They've been leveraged by nearly every player in the comp to get more money. In saying that, all of that, if there is literally one coach in the history of rugby league that could turn a solid roster to do something special, I don't mean win a comp, but like make the 8 in their first year, it's Wayne Bennett. And he did it as recently as, put it this way, that Maroon side, in my opinion, was further away from a win of that series before the series started than the Dolphins are from being a top 8 side.
I don't remember that series.
Don't recall, mate.
They are? Oh, worse, like your journos came out and said it was the worst side in 40 years or something like that? Don't remember it?
Nah.
Back to the Kuma Stallions.
Woo! Let's go, baby. That's why I'm wearing this, because I knew that would happen. That would be brought up. And I wore my famous Queensland shirt with the goats on it. So, as I said, like, their roster's not bad, like, at all. You know, like, Sean O'Sullivan, good, solid half. Anthony Milford, he had a couple good games at the World Cup. Then he struggled a bit in his last game. I really hope Milf gets back to where he was, or at least closer to it. I'm getting further and further away from thinking that he will be able to do it. I will say, though, if there is one man that could find that in him again, it is Wayne Bennett, because that's where he played his best footy, arguably. Like some believe, sorry, Timmy, but some believe he played his best footy at the Raiders until we got him.
Watch the YouTube clip many a time, mate.
He was electric at the Raiders.
Oh, my goodness. It's an enjoyable watch.
Oh, mate.
Oof.
He was so good. People forget how, he was electric at the Raiders.
Wasn't it? I remember being at a Raiders game back then, and whenever they got a scrum, everyone just went, "Oh fuck, here we go!
Yeah,
he's going to score.
He's going to do something fucking mental here."
And he used to off a scrum. He just used to cut teams.
Weighed about 75 kilos and would bust like 20 tackles a game.
Absolutely
they couldn't touch
wild.
him.
Absolutely. His footwork, his strength, low centre of gravity.
His acceleration off the mark, he will just go. Oh.
Yeah. So good to watch. But yeah, so like if there's anyone that can get this team and have Wayne Bennett is the fairy tale coach. He's the fairy tale coach. Like he just somehow manages to get it done. Look, the thing is they've got depth in their halves. Sean O'Sullivan, Anthony Milford, are they good enough to play finals footy? Yeah, on the edges of finals, like as in if they both play their best as a Hamiso, a lot of potential. But I do think this roster, as it stands, most likely will not be playing the 8. I don't think they'll win the spoon, but I don't think they'll be playing in the 8.
Yeah, I don't think they're a top 8 side. I don't even think that's their ceiling, to be perfectly honest with you.
You don't need the potential.
If Wayne wasn't the coach, I would say definitely not. Yeah. Definitely not. Wayne is the only thing that makes me second guess that take, but I'm still pretty confident they won't be a top 8 side. Have a look through this squad, and you know what? The best 17, it's not too bad. I think the forward pack is good. I think the bench is good. Like I'm having a look at the bench I've got written down here has got Tom Gilbert, Jared Wallace, and Aiken. That's solid. That's good.
Bloody oath. But
I just think one or two injuries come into this side. The other names that are on this list, it's a big drop off, and it's injuries in key spots. I think Hamiso is the best fullback in the squad. I'm not convinced Hamiso is a fullback, which is a worry for me. You've got Sean O'Sullivan and Anthony Milford, who would be my starting halves, and I think that it could be a little bit counterproductive if Katoa ends up there a little bit too early. So I'm nervous for them, mate.
Timmy?
Yeah, unfortunately, mate, I've got them pegged as wooden spooners.
Wooden spoon?
Mate, it's not the best roster. Let's be fair. So the missing star power, halves are solid, but you know, realistically looking at sort of backup halves, their Milf played a lot of first grade last year. That's a bit harsh, and I know O'Sullivan was behind Luai and Cleary, so I'm possibly being a bit harsh there. But you know, Hammer, as good as he is, realistically, he couldn't crack the 13 at the Cowboys because they were stacked. But I don't know, mate. I'm not overly inspired there. It's the forward pack, 8 to 13 is good, but it's also aging. There's between Kaufusi, Jesse Bromwich, Big Mark Nosey Nichols, there's some old boys in there. So, maybe they've got a couple of good years left in them, but I just find it very hard to get excited about it.
It's a forward pack that if they had a superstar 7 or 6, I'd be interested. I think they could get by, but lacking both. And I just look at the starting pack and there's just no punch.
Nothing, hey?
There is I'm looking for a tackle break or an offload in this side. I can't see one.
I will say, when a few years ago when Wayne was coach of Rabbitohs, much better squad, but his forward pack was, Matty, you can speak better to this, but it was pretty not that solid. That was the concern of the Rabbitohs, is their forward pack was quite, and then all of a sudden these guys just developed into.
And that was my number one concern with that South side, and I sort of wrote them off from being able to win a comp, and that's the one thing that Wayne can do. And I also think, as we spoke about with the Melbourne Storm, I think that getting Kenny Bromwich and Felice Kaufusi, it's a fantastic platform to lay as far as defence goes. But Jesse Bromwich, Mark Nichols, Kenny, Felice, Ray Stone coming off an ACL, that's sort of the starting 13, the starting forward pack. There is just no punch.
Maddie?
Just on the Wayne thing that you were speaking about, for anyone, just to go back and listen to your interview with Mark Nichols probably a year ago, he was like, Wayne came in and at the start of the year, he sat down Nichols and I think it was Totola, I'm pretty sure. And by no means were these guys like big names at this point, and just said, I'm putting my trust in you for the first, 3 months or something. And it was a story similar like that. And then they excelled because of Wayne's confidence, the confidence that Wayne put into them. So you'd imagine that, and now Mark Nichols isn't like a crazy superstar, but since then, he's been a mainstay in South's team. He was missed last year when he was missing games. He was great last few years. Totola got South's best player of the year. So you're right. I think Wayne might have to sprinkle a bit of that same magic and put some confidence in these players like he did with those forwards.
Yeah, as I said, best case scenario for them is scraping into the 8, and that's a fairy tale in my opinion. That's we all get on the Dolphins bandwagon, how good these guys are in the 8. But yeah, in reality, I don't see them in the spoon because I can't see a Wayne Bennett team winning the spoon, but I do see them towards the bottom of the table.
And my concern with the longer term picture as well is, it's their first year in the NRL. It's a building year. In fact, it'll be a couple of building years, but, if they're realistically thinking, all right, finals footy and let's be competitive in 2 or 3 years' time, by the time that happens, their whole forward pack will have retired or be very much on the outer by then. It's like...
Well, this is where I couldn't understand why the NRL doesn't help new clubs get set up. Give them a bigger salary cap or... Because I'm pretty sure the AFL, they allow the clubs coming in, you get a bigger salary cap to lure people in.
And they get really, I believe... I know they used to, I assume they get the same, but when the Giants came in, a couple of the newer clubs and the Suns, real priorities in the drafts and high up in that, all these incentives,
Whereas, the Dolphins were just do your best.
So, the last 5 minutes, I've actually been looking at the AFL kind of setup. And, yes, they do give teams exemptions, draft picks, etc. But even still, we might have got pretty lucky with the Titans because GWS and Gold Coast did not do anything for the first few years, even with all those exemptions. So now the Dolphins have to come in with, a level playing field. It's going to be tough. I think we might have got lucky with the Titans because their first few years, they missed the finals, but then they made a prelim. That's if the Dolphins do that, that's a fantastic result.
And I think the Titans set a really tough example for the Dolphins. They went 12th, 3rd, 3rd and 4th.
Jeez.
But you have a look at the side that was 3rd and 4th. Very similar to the side that was 12th. They were building into it. I think what you're saying about this forward pack, if in 3 or 4 years' time they're playing finals footy, it's going to be a completely different side. And as good as it was at the Titans, finished 3rd and 4th, the year after that they got the spoon, which I think is the reality of a new competition. It's a new team in a competition. It's very difficult.
Footy players, rugby league players at least, they want to live on the Goldie. That's what it is, mate. Beautiful beaches, that unbelievable sand just through the toes, nice walks with the missus along the beach. Just a beautiful place to live.
Nice country folk.
Nice country folk, exactly.
Surprised you ever saw the beach living in the country.
Country manners, country manners, mate. All that good stuff. Toughness as well. We got the beauty of the strip clubs, but the toughness of country. It's the perfect place for rugby league. Maybe people go up there and indulge a little bit too much, but that's by the by. But yeah, back to the Dolphins. Look, okay, what's your starting backline then? Would you be going Jennings on one wing?
Yeah, I'd have
Brenko.
Hamiso at fullback.
Yeah.
And then I would have Edric Lee on one wing.
Yeah.
Either Jermaine Osako or Jennings on the other wing. Centers, you're probably looking at Gildart from the Roosters, maybe Jennings. My other centre would be the guy that I spoke about last year, Tafare. I think everyone's well aware of him now. I think he could be a good little get for them.
I have a question. Since they've got Kafusi and Bromwich, is Ewan Aiken going to be in the forwards?
I think he has to be sorry to cut you off. I think he has to be at centre because Bromwich and Kafu should be 80-minute edge back rows, won't they? So if you're not coming on in the middle,
Yeah.
so he'll have to play centre, won't he?
And they are light in their backs. Like, there's no backs that I'm looking at here and go, oh, shit. Like,
And Ewan Aiken's an awesome centre. I love him there. He's also in the back row too because he's
Yeah.
such a good footballer. But
I like him at centre.
he strengthens that. That team is strengthened by him starting, surely.
Yeah, I think that you can't afford to have a guy like Ewan Aiken on the bench, even though as a forward he would be on the bench.
Yeah. I actually agree with you, but when I look at the side, I wonder if maybe he could be helpful coming off the bench because
Then who
at
do
least
you
it gives you a bit of fucking punch.
Yeah.
Gives you
Where
something.
does he come on?
I don't know. I don't know.
What's his preference? Do you know?
No, I'm not sure. I think he's happy to play either.
Yeah.
I think Aiken.
Yeah, so the back line is a really interesting one because it's like, a lot of the, Hamiso, we don't know whether there's a fullback yet. Like, maybe he's a fullback. Plenty of potential. The wing positions, I'd probably go Jennings, like Asako sometimes can be a bit up and down. So I don't know. Edric at his best can be great, but he can be up and down.
Even a guy like Gildart, I reckon he'll be there and thereabouts for centre. But at the end of the day, he's been through 2 systems in 6 months, and now he's in a third. So
Is it definitely Milford, O'Sullivan? Like Katoa, we thinking no chance for round one?
I just think it's a lot to put up starting a franchise on a guy that hasn't played first grade yet.
Like, imagine how pizzled he'll get
Yeah.
if he struggles.
And I mean, he went over with Tonga, and they did well. But I mean, he got picked apart there.
Yeah.
Defensively, he had some, but he really good in attack. Really good in attack. He wasn't actually even supposed to play one game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, and that's what's going to happen with a young guy like that. But
He went over there just as experienced.
Yep.
Was training, and the coach was like, "Far out, this kid's good."
he's an incredible. He could be an absolute star over the next few years, but they just have to manage these 2 years in the right way.
Yeah, for the club long term too. Because what does he sign? Is he on a big deal, like a long term deal till 2025? So yeah, you don't want to be busting him up 2023.
Like he's obviously super impressive, and he's done that. And it was obviously impressed Christian Wolf enough to say, mate, you're in. He played about in front of Talatau Moan.
Yeah,
So
in the end, yeah.
like, what's to say that he's not going to do the same to Wayne?
Yeah,
Just go,
true.
mate, you're a gun.
Like his attack is fantastic. All his defense, but that's all young halves defensively. Take some time.
And he is that sort of like I know that Wayne sat down on a Zoom with him for 20 minutes and just said, "Go down to Sydney and get him. Do whatever it takes."
Oh, really?
So he's that sort of character.
Yep. It's exciting, and new clubs coming in for sure. Ray Stone gets to be back on top. Ray Stone and Tom Gilbert, I think they're really good signings. I really do. Not too old or whatever. Obviously, Ray Stone's coming off the ACL, but Gilbert played well at Origin.
Getting Gilbert's a great get.
Yeah.
But once again, I think he's in a similar situation to Aiken for me. I think you have to probably play Gilbert as a middle forward realistically, which he can do, but I sort of prefer him on an edge.
Better suited on the edge, hey.
And that's where if you've got Kenny Bromwich and Felice, you have to play them on the edge. You can't, there's no point having those guys on the bench. So that's where I think
Maybe they'll have a really mobile forward pack with, your Ray Stones and Gilberts that are in the middle, a bit smaller, and even Ewan.
That's what I'm sort of leaning towards. Yeah.
And they do kind of like what Roosters do, where they start with the big boppers of Lodge, Hargreaves, and then they bring them off and bring on like Butcher and Watson through the middle.
But once again, if we get to a situation where they lose one front row, whether it be Bromwich, Nichols, Jared Wallace, what happens?
Yeah, then the size on the bench is a bit tough.
Size on the bench is a big worry. If you want to play Ewan Aitken at centre, which I understand where you're both coming from, your bench is fucked. There's nothing.
I wonder
there.
how many fans they're going to have, the Dolphins. Do you know what I mean?
I'm so intrigued.
I think NRL Physio's a diehard, so
He is a
there's
diehard.
one.
Oh, is he? But was he a diehard of Redcliffe first?
Well, yeah, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to get the Redcliffe guys to come over. That's
Well, I mean, you'd be filthy if you were the Redcliffe guys because you're like, we literally built this club as a community.
Yep.
And we did.
It's I don't have a team, and they're not what they've done off the field so far. It isn't overly appealing to me to support them.
I mean, I don't mind like the media and all that kind of stuff. It's cool, and I like the new club, but it's just like what connects them to a base. You know, like what is gonna.
It would have been great if they would have come along 18 months ago when Brisbane were on their knees. Now that they're starting to rebuild, I don't know.
I think that. Yeah, it's going to be. It's really interesting to see, like, where are they going to find their base? Like, what is it? Just going to be people that don't like their own team anymore, and then go across to them?
Because, like, respectfully to all these guys, who's the player that a kid's getting a poster off?
Yeah. But it's even like if they did Redcliffe, at least you've got the north of Brisbane and Redcliffe that may not be Broncos fans, and they're like, that's our team. Or they might even be footy fans, but like, oh, that's our team. Whereas like if you just called the Dolphins, it's like, who do you represent? Like it's an interesting one. Really.
I wonder if they'll ever backflip on that.
They may. They honestly may. Because like I understood. I mean, my thoughts were they did it intentionally because they want to be like seen as a nation. Because Redcliffe's so small, they wanted to be seen like as a nation's brand.
They didn't want to isolate it to just Redcliffe.
Just Redcliffe, exactly, because it's like such a small area. So you're just like, we can only. But what I don't get with that is like, there's plenty of people that don't live in Brisbane or aren't from Brisbane that are Brisbane Broncos fans.
Yeah, and you go from not isolating one area to having nothing.
Yeah.
Aren't you better off having that at least?
Yeah.
Like it's a famous jersey in rugby league. It's a famous brand, regardless of not being a first grade brand. We all know about it.
And all you need to do is get 15,000 people to a game, and it'll fill out that stadium. So, whereas it's going to be interesting. Maybe the Redcliffe will get behind them. I hope they do.
Wait to go to a game up there.
That'd be cool. Great little stadium. So yeah, look, fairy tale stuff. Wayne Bennett sprinkles his magic, and they fight their way into an 8th position. But I got them finishing bottom 4. What do you got, Gurino?
Yeah, bottom 4 for me. I think if they finish outside the bottom 4, that's a really good effort with this squad.
I go Spoon. Sorry,
Timmy,
boys, but
bro, just because they're called the Queensland Dolphins doesn't mean you have to hate them.
Pretty much the only reason I said Spoon. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope Wayne does sprinkle his magic.
Yep.
I can't see them winning too many games.
Matty?
Yeah, with the squad, I'd say Spoon, but I'm not going to say it because of Wayne. I reckon bottom 4, and I just hope they don't get the Spoon.
I hope not, because that would be that's worst case. It's obviously it's worst case they came last, but I mean, a new club in a new tournament, a comp, and you just come last.
Mate, to be honest, I'm more worried about who's going to be the marquee than where they finish this year. I think it's a good year.
Are we
going to
get crazy here, Guru, and say they need to pay someone 1.7 a year? Because we went as high as 1.5. We were like,
mate, Dora almost fell over when he was sitting here. When we
we had Sandra on, and I was like, we're like, we reckon they're going to offer Munster 1.5. It was like, what? No way. And rightly so. It sounds outrageous, but it's like, bro, that's what you're going to have to do to get a bloody big player there.
I really hope they can jag and win in one of those preseason trial things. I want to see what the hype would be if they can just get a win in one of those two games.
And also how peppered the team that loses gets. Fuck, poor blokes.
They towel up the Broncos in the preseason.
Oh, no, how dare you, Timmy, you dog. So exciting times though. Like I hate to be too negative, but we got to be honest. We can't sugarcoat it. Unfortunately, they're just missing a star or two. But very exciting times, and truly, if there's one team that isn't my team that I want to do well this year, it's honestly the Dolphins, because it's so important for rugby league that they come in and at least win some games and all that kind of stuff. And I think if there's a coach who can do it, it's Wayne. Anything else, boys? Timmy, what do you got going on over the summer?
Mate, I got a bit going on. Don't worry about that. SC Playbook BBL, our cricket content, is fired up for the cricket season. So, new social handle for it: SC Playbook BBL, scplaybook.com.au. Stacks of articles from contributors. The podcast's still going as well. So, If you're into your cricket and your Big Bash in particular, jump onto that. And also the NRL one, SC Playbook NRL, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you could jump on and give that a follow, would be very much appreciated.
What's the Twitter sphere like, boys? Is it
Scary.
Is it a wild west of disgusting
It's a cesspit.
dredge?
Yeah.
Is it?
It's very interactive. Like it's very it's a big community, but it's probably not the nicest community on the planet. There's a few vulgar people. Nah, it's all right, mate.
It's all right.
It's very, very, very journalism based. A lot of good news access.
Yeah.
I suppose.
They love him on there.
Oh, that's
love a
why
bit
he's
of
giving
Timmy.
rap.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah, well, I don't have a personal Instagram. It's all through SC Playbook, but I've got again, being a journo background, I've got the Twitter one. So, mate, me and Elon, we're riding the Twitter bandwagon.
Matty, do you have Twitter?
I have Twitter, and I don't really tweet at all, but I just have it so I can get news kind of before everyone else. That's the big advantage of Twitter. But yeah, it's fuck. Don't log on to Twitter if you're already having a bad day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I literally I've got an @DenonKemp, but I've never I do not even interact with it one
Sometimes
bit.
I'll upload things, take a screenshot from it, and I upload, and I'm like, get that screenshot and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
not worth it. It's not worth it.
It's the place to be.
I was like,
Get
I
amongst
don't know. It's like I wonder, like, because bloke's not on there. I wonder how much shit gets talked about bloke that we don't know about because they're not on there. You know, like if a tree falls in a forest and no one's there to see it, did it ever happen? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people.
I'm sure there's tree fallings.
Mate, I'm sure there's a bunch of shit being talking about bloke. Anyway, that is us, part 2. That is also the last podcast for the day. We're going to do another 4-hour one after this. Last for the year, guys. So make sure to enjoy your Christmas, stay safe, and same with New Year's. Make sure to enjoy it, but stay safe. Don't do anything silly. We'll do things silly, but stay safe. And we will be back on is it the 7th or the 8th? So you've got New Year's on Saturday night. You've got New Year's Day. That Monday, no. But then we'll be back again the following Monday, which I'm pretty sure is the 8th.
Yeah, it's the 9th of January.
The 9th of January. We will be back rolling into a new season. Hopefully there's a few controversies in rugby league to talk about. No, just joking. We'll be back rolling into a new season. I'm sure there'll be plenty going on, especially after that first week back in. Anything else, boys?
Thanks for a great year, Kempy. It's been unreal.
Been unreal, guys. We're going even bigger next year, baby. As usual, grab a case of Bloke in a Bar, guys. If you've enjoyed this year, the only way we can keep doing this is if you buy the beer or the merch on bloke.shop. And as usual, I'll go and fuck myself. Thank you.